File 1. The name on the clipboard the first time your name enters the system. It isn't typed by a judge or read by a prosecutor. It is written by a mall security guard on a clipboard under fluorescent lights next to a parking structure wall you thought nobody cared about. Your initials, 3 feet tall, spray painted in under 2 minutes. A friend's dare, and just enough to drink for that dare to sound reasonable. The officer doesn't cuff you. He writes a citation, criminal mischief, under $500. The property owner wants $310 for pressure washing. You pay it by mail. No court, no hearing, no moment where anyone looks you in the eye and tells you who you are. By Friday, you've basically forgotten it happened. The record sits in a county database. Nobody checks, unless someone goes digging, and most people never have a reason to. At 20, you think this is what the system is. A fine, an apology. A Tuesday you forget by Friday. That is the mistake. This file doesn't show you how the system works. It shows you how quiet it can be when it doesn't need to be loud. Quiet enough that you won't notice the next file starting until you are already several pages into it. File 2. The lie that looks small. You are 24. Rent's late. Second month running. Every problem at 24 feels temporary, even the ones quietly becoming permanent. A coworker mentions a body shop that pays cash for cars damaged in ways insurance covers. The plan is crude. A damaged bumper, a false report, a number on an insurance form. You think the smallness of the lie will protect you. It does the opposite. The adjuster looks at the photos. The damage doesn't match a moving collision. The file gets forwarded, not to a manager, to an investigations unit, one that exists because claims like yours happen often enough to need its own department. Insurance fraud, a felony. The law doesn't care about the dollar amount. It cares about the deception. 8 minutes with a public defender in a hallway sums up your future. Fight it and risk a jury with photos working against you, or take 18 months probation, restitution, and a felony record you'll disclose on every application from here on. You take the plea. You pay it off in full, right on schedule. You tell yourself you handled it. Technically you did. 3 years later, a licensing board runs its own background check, separate from any court record. A private inquiry the statute doesn't restrict. Denied. No explanation. No neat line connecting the dots. You never know for sure. It is the fraud case. You just notice the door closing, and nobody tells you which key stopped working. Only the claim photo in a file somewhere still doing its quiet work. File 3. The object under the seat. You are 27. A broken taillight gets you pulled over. Should end with a warning. Instead, the officer says he smells marijuana, a reason your state's courts accept without much pushback. Now the stop becomes a search. Under the passenger seat, a handgun, not yours. A friend's left there weeks ago and never mentioned. It is the kind of detail that sounds important morally and almost irrelevant legally. Possession law doesn't care about the emotional truth of it, just proximity access. You had both. Because of the fraud felony, the charge escalates automatically. Felon in possession, a separate offense, a mandatory minimum attached before you've even entered a plea. Bail $12,000. Your sister is the only one with the credit to help. She co-signs the bond. Her apartment's on the line now if you miss a hearing. You don't miss one. Not once. 4 months later, 2 years, state custody, reduced slightly for cooperating on an unrelated case. Not because you are clever, just because you knew something useful. The transport takes 3 hours. Intake takes 5. They take your clothes, your shoes, the $14 folded in your wallet. They give you a number for a while. It works more reliably than your name ever did. File 4. The certificate beside the conviction. You are 29. 2 years stops sounding like a sentence and starts being the only clock that matters. The facility runs at 118% capacity. Too many people, not enough space, not enough of anything. Really, you are on grounds maintenance. 5 hours a day, 8 cents an hour. Cutting grass along a fence line you'll pass more times than you can count, and never once mistake for a way out. 1 visit a month. 1 hour. Your sister starts leaving 30 minutes earlier than she needs to. Not because the drive changed, but because the rules did. Outside, 5 minutes is traffic. Inside, it is policy. And policy doesn't apologize. You take a plumbing certification course, 6 months, twice a week, taught by an instructor who actually treats it seriously. Not prison seriously. Actually seriously. Like the material matters regardless of where you are sitting. You pass. Real certificate. Accredited. For a moment, it feels like you built something that isn't paperwork from a court, but it sits right next to the firearm conviction. On every application, every background check, every will let you know that never calls back. The certificate hangs on a corkboard in your cell for the rest of your sentence. Laminated, slightly curling at one corner from the humidity. The only thing anything in the room that isn't state issued. You serve 20 months. The door opens. Not all the way. File 5. The old record returns you are 33. Out 2 years. Working plumbing jobs under a friend's license. Because every apprenticeship application stalls at the same line. Background check pending. An argument over unpaid wages turns physical. You didn't start it. That matters to you a lot. It matters less to the statute, which cares about outcomes, not origins. The other man has a fractured wrist. 3 witnesses saw you throw the first punch. Maybe not the first provocation, but the first punch they can describe in a report. Felony assault. In your jurisdiction, the prior firearm conviction allows the prosecutor to file a habitual offender enhancement, a provision you learn about only after it is already working against you. Bail, $25,000. 5 months in county. Waiting. The jury deliberates 6 hours. You spend them in a holding cell with a clock you can't see, counting time by the sounds of the hallway instead. Footsteps, a door, footsteps again. Guilty. 7 years. Maximum security this time. Not just for what happened outside the job site, but because the enhancement moves you up a classification tier on its own. The system's not looking at one moment anymore. It is looking at a pattern. And once it decides it sees a pattern, it is hard to convince it you are still a person underneath it. File 6. The schedule becomes the sentence. Maximum security doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It just quietly resets what normal means. 22 hours in a cell becomes ordinary, not punishment. Just the schedule, repeating. 3 weeks in, someone gets stabbed on a different block. Not yours, not your fight. The whole unit still goes on lockdown for a month, because the system manages risk at the population level, not the individual one. Your cellmate is serving twice your time, says he didn't do it. 4 years in, he still says it. You have no way to know. Eventually, you stop trying to decide. There is a law library, outdated, but functional. You spend evenings there, not because it'll change anything, because the alternative is the cell, the ceiling, the same hour repeating itself for 7 straight years. You file your own appeal. No lawyer. 11 months teaching yourself a language nobody explains until you desperately need it. Denied. Not on the merits. A missed deadline. The envelope leaves your hands on time. It doesn't leave the building on time. The rejection has almost nothing to do with what you tried to say, and everything to do with how late it arrived. File 7. The paperwork points back. You are 40. After release, you get a job moving inventory for a small logistics company. Boxes, manifests, tired by 5, paid by Friday. A normal job or close enough. 8 months in, you notice something. The paperwork doesn't match what the company is actually doing. You are paid more than the job should pay, and the extra money comes with an unspoken instruction. Sign. Don't ask federal customs fraud. The threshold for federal jurisdiction is lower than you assumed, and federal sentencing leaves the judge almost no room once the loss amount is calculated by formula. You and your lawyer can't meaningfully contest the number. 6 years. Federal. No parole. 85% served. No matter how you behave inside. The facility's better resource than anywhere you've been. Better food. Working heat. Small comforts. Genuinely small. It is also 710 miles from your sister. She visits once. The drive costs more than she can spend twice. She brings a photograph instead, the second time, and mails it. Your niece's graduation. A version of your family moving forward without waiting for you to catch up. You serve 5 years and 1 month. Then the restitution order, $61,000, split with the owner, who settles his share through assets you never had access to. The formula doesn't ask who actually profited. It asks where the paperwork points, and paperwork points with confidence, even when it points badly. File 8. The rules some officers use. Not every file starts outside. This one starts with a contraband search, a modified phone charger in a shared space assigned to you, not yours. Doesn't matter. Under the rules, that is already enough. 21 days. Disciplinary segregation, a smaller cell than the one you left. 1 isolated hour a day. Meals through a slot in the door. A mental health screener stops by twice a week. 4 minutes through the door. Procedural, not personal. Still, you find yourself waiting for it. For 3 weeks, it is the only scheduled thing in a day that otherwise has none at all. An internal audit, done later for unrelated reasons, finds 11 other men disciplined for the exact same thing that same month. Under a policy some officers apply and others simply don't. Changes nothing for you. Not then. Not now. Day 21 arrives. You are moved back. No ceremony. No explanation, just the number of days finally running out. Sometimes that is the closest thing to good news you get in a place like this. File 9. The Thursday, after Thursday $53 on a debit card, a bus ticket, federal supervision conditions with a 72-hour reporting window, not a fresh start, a starter kit for trying not to fail immediately. You apply to 17 jobs using a plumbing certificate that is still valid, still real, sitting beside 3 felony convictions that surface in every background check. No matter how the posting's worded, 3 respond. One offers something real, maintenance work at a property company whose owner has hired people with records before, not out of principle, because the labor shortage makes the math simple for him in a way it isn't for most. You are 46. Some nights you think about the parking structure at 20, the $310 you paid without a second thought, and the distance between that citation and this life, built not in one jump but in steps. Each decision felt containable at the time. Each consequence felt survivable on its own. You made the choices, but the system decided how long each choice would keep speaking. The uniform still smells faintly of the store shelf, not yet of the work itself. Thursday morning. The maintenance job is still there. You put on a uniform that fits differently than the last one did, and you go. That is the part nobody puts in the paperwork. Not the charge. Not the sentence. The Thursday after it.